Hi children, in our previous lesson we answered the questions of how to find the least common multiple of two numbers and what it means. After giving a short reminder in today's lesson, we'll learn where to use the least common multiple of numbers and solve word problems on least common multiple. Now, let's start the first title of today's lesson. The least common multiple of numbers. Now, of course, in this title, we'll remember how we find the least common multiple. But firstly, let's choose our numbers 12 and 20. These are our two numbers. Now let's write the multiples of all multiples of these numbers. Multiples of 12 are 12 times 1, 12 times 2, 12 times 3, times 4, times 5, times 6, times 7, times 8, times 9, and 10. And so on, it goes to infinity. What about the multiples of 20? 20 times 1, 20 times 2, times 3, times 4, times 500. 20 times 6, 120. 20 times 7, 140. 20 times 8, 160, and so on. And right here, all common multiples of 20. 20 and 12 and 20. Now let's try to find the multiples of each one. And 60, as you see, 60 is the first multiple, the smallest multiple, 60. After that, 60 times 2 comes, it means 120. You may find from here 120, and after that 180. If you add 60 to 120, you will get 180, and add 60 again to 180, you will get 240, and after that, if you add 60, you will get 300, and so on. It goes up infinity. Now here, the smallest one is the most important one. If you may find the smallest common multiple of two numbers or more than two numbers, then you will get the other common multiples by multiplying with consecutive positive integers starting from 1 to and goes to infinity. You may find all common multiples of 20 and 12. If you know any two numbers, least common multiple of any two numbers, then you may find all common multiples of these two numbers. Of course, our numbers may be more than two numbers. Now we need at least two numbers to speak about the least common multiple and the greatest common divisor. Okay, now I used here two numbers. Now, what is the common property of common multiples of 12 and 20 here? The least one is 60, and 60 is both divisible with 12 and 20. The main idea here is this. The meaning of the least common multiple of two numbers is it is the number which is divisible with these two numbers, and it is the smallest number having this property. And now let's continue with the next on the next page and give another example. Let's choose a small numbers to the, at this time. 5, 4 and 5, for example. 4. Let's use 4 and 5 here. 4, 4, 4 and 5. Find the least common multiple of 4 and 5. Now let's find the multiples of 4. 4 times 1 is 4. 4 times 2 is 8. 4 times 3 is 12. After 12 comes 16. After 16 comes 20, 24, 28, 32. And what about the multiples of 5? Multiples of 5. 5. 5 times 2 is 10. 5 times 3 is 15. After that 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, and so on. Now common multiples. Common multiples of 4 and 5 are, the least one is 20. It starts from 20, after that 40. And all common multiples will appear here as the multiples of 20. Okay, the first number is 20. After that, it will go like this: 20, 40, 60, 80, and so on. Now, 20 is the most important one for us because 20 is the least common multiple of 4 and 5. And again, let's repeat what is the common property of common multiples of 4 and 5. The common property and the most important property gives the definition and the meaning of the least common multiple of two numbers. Here, the number 20. I'm explaining the meaning of 20. Least common multiple of 4 and 5. 20 is the least number which is divisible with 4 and 5 at the same time. And the other common multiples of 4 and 5, 40, 60, 80, these have also the same property. All of them are divisible with 4 and 5. But the least one is very important here. Now let's continue with the second title. To find the least common multiple of numbers, we apply the standard way. Now let's repeat the standard way to find the least common multiple of numbers. Start again with two numbers. 12 and 18 are our, of course, uh, our favorite numbers. Now, let's start from the least prime number, which divides both 12 and 18. Divide with 2 them. If you divide 12 with 2, the result will be 6. And if you divide 18 with 2, the result is 9. Then between 6 and 9, 6 is also okay for the divisibility with 2. So divide 6 with 2, result is 3. 9 cannot be divisible by 2, so write again here on this order, 9. Now both 3 and 9 are not divisible with 2, so pass to the next prime number, 3. Is it possible to divide one of them with 3? Yes, both are possible. If you divide 3 by 3, you will get 1. If you divide 9 with 3, you will get 3. And this for 12, the operation is okay. We have the operation finished for 12. If you get 1 by dividing with prime numbers, then the operation, it means the operation has just finished. Now what about 3? If you divide 3 with 3 again, because it's divisible with 3, then you will get again 1. So for 18, the operation has just finished also. After getting for both two numbers, for 12 and 18, after getting 1 at the end, our operation finished. Now let's multiply these prime numbers. 2 times 2 times 3 times 3. 2 times 2 is 4, times 3 times 3 is 9, and 4 times 9 is 36. What is the meaning of 36? Now 36 is a number which is divisible with 12 and 18 at the same time, and the smallest number having this property. So 36 is the least common multiple of 12 and 18. 36. 36 is the least common multiple of them. Now you may find the other common multiples of 12 and 18, because other common multiples are the multiples of the least common multiple of 12 and 18. So let's write the least multiples of 36. Multiples of 36, the first one 36, then 36 times 2, 72, 36 times 3, 108, and so on. And so on. These are common multiples of 12 and 18. Now, this was our standard way to find the least common multiple of numbers. Don't forget the way, okay? Now let's write another example. A bit, let's write here a bit huge numbers. 108. 108 is very huge. And what about this next one? 108 and 40. Now, let's find the least common multiple of these two numbers. Divide with 2, 54. What is the half of 40? 20. Again, they are 54 and 20 divisible with 2. What is the half of 54? 27. Half of 20, 10. And after that, if you divide with 2, only 10 is possible to divide with 2. So let's continue with 2 again. Right here 27. If you divide 10 with 2, the result is 5. After 2, 3 comes, and 3 divides 27. So I should continue with 3 for 27. If you divide 27 with 3, you will get 9. 5 is not possible to divide with 3. And 9 is divisible with 3. So divide with 3 again. 9 over 3 is 3. And 5 is again here. And 3 is also possible to divide with 3. 3 over 3 is 1. And right here, 5 again. Now, I reached 1, 408. What about 5? 5 is divisible with only 5 as the prime factor. So 5 over 5 is also 1. I reached again 1. Now, if you multiply these prime numbers, you will get the least common multiple of 40 and 108. So let's write here 2 times 2 times 2 times 3 times 3 times 3 times 5. This is 8 times 3 times 3, 9, 9 times 3, 27 times 5. 8 times 5 is 40. 40 times 27. 4 times 7 is 28. I have 2 in my hand. 4 times 2 is 8. And if you add 2, you'll get 10. And put here 0. This is the result. 1080. So 1080 is the smallest number, which is divisible with 40 and 108. And the least common multiple, of course, of these two numbers. 40 and 108 is 1080. Now this is the least common multiple of 40 and 108. Now let's continue with the next one. Next title. To find the least common multiple of numbers, more than 2 numbers. For example, for 3 numbers. Of course, for 4 numbers, for 5 numbers, we may find the least common multiple. Now let's try to find the least common multiple of 3 numbers. 12, 18, and 20. Is it okay? So the method is the same. Divide with 2. If you divide 12 with 2, you will get 6. 18 with 2, you will get 9. 20 with 2, you will get 10. Between 6, 9, and 10, 6 and 10 are possible to divide with 2. Continue dividing with 2. 6 over 2 is 3. 9 is not possible. 10 over 2 is 5. After that, there is no number between 3, 9, and 5 divisible with 2. So pass to 3. Now 3 over 3 is 1. 9 over 3 is 3. 5 is not possible. Again with 3 because I have a number 3 divisible with 3. 3 over 3 is 1 and 5 here again. And 5 over 5 is 1. That's all. I reached for all these 3 numbers 1 by dividing these prime numbers. And if you multiply these prime numbers 2 times 2 times 3 times 3 times 5, you will get the least common multiple of 12, 18, and 20. 12, 18, and 20. Yes, of course, let's find 4, 9, 5. 4 times 9 times 5. 180. Let's write here 180. Okay. 180. Now, 180 is the least number or the smallest number which is divisible with 12, 18 and 20 at the same time. Okay. Now let's continue with the next title. Using least common multiple to equalize denominators of fractions. Now you know the fractions, operations on fractions. These operations, some of these operations are, addition, subtraction. If you are making operations, summation or addition and subtraction operations on fractions, and if the denominators of these fractions are not equal to each other, then you should equalize their denominators in some number, in the same number. How? Let's remember it. Now 1 over 2. Now let's make an addition operation. 1 over 2 plus 1 over 3. Now 2 and 3 are denominators of these two fractions consecutively, but they are not equal to each other, and you know that. You should equalize these denominators by making multiplication. Now, if you multiply 2 with 3, 3 is the denominator of the second fraction, and 3 with 2, and 2 is the denominator of the first fraction. Then, but you should multiply both numerator and denominator. 3 times 1 is 3, 3 times 2 is 6, after that plus, 2 times 1 is 2, and 2 times 3 is 6. And now, denominators are equal to each other now, after this operation. What is the meaning of it? You may finish this summation operation. Let's write here 3 plus 2. If denominators are equal to each other, then make the addition operation with numerators. 3 plus 2 is 3 plus 2 is 5, and write one denominator only. 3 plus 2 is 5. The result is 5 over 6. 5 over 6. So, now let's pay attention on the denominator 6. And for the first fraction, the denominator was 2, and for the second was 3, as you see. And they are not equal to each other. And after making this operation, multiplying with 3, for the first fraction, if you multiply the first fraction with 3, of course both numerator and denominators, denominator of this fraction, and if you multiply the numerator and denominator of the second fraction with 2, then you reached the common denominator or the same denominator of them for each fraction. And after that you may make this addition operation. Now, here the number 6 is the common denominator. And what is the meaning of 6? 6 is the number which is divisible with 2 and 3 at the same time. And 6 is the smallest number. So, yes. Now, 6 is the least common multiple of 2 and 3. So, we are equalizing denominators when we are making subtraction and addition operations with fractions. We are equalizing their denominators in their least common multiple. This is the result. we always use this fact, but sometimes many of you don't know. Many of you don't know its meaning. What about the second sample? 1 over 1 over 4 plus 1 over 6. Now, will you multiply the first fraction with 6 and the second fraction with 4 again? Yes, of course, denominators will be equal to each other if you make this operation. Now let's make multiplication. 6 times 1 is 6, 6 times 4 is 24, 4 times 1 is 4, and 4 times 6 is 24. I didn't write again I didn't write. I wrote here the denominator only one fraction. Okay, only one fraction. I skipped this step for the second example. Now 6 plus 4 is 10. 10 over 24. What about 10 over 24? You may simplify. If you divide both numerator and denominator with 2, 10 over 2 is 5, 24 over 2 is 12, as you see. Now, is 24 is the least common multiple of 4 and 6? This is the main question. Yes, 24, equalizing in the 24 is possible for this operation. But is it the least common multiple of 4 and 6 is 24? Now let's try to find the least common multiple of 4 and 6 by using standard way. Divide with 2, 2 and 6, divide with 2, 1 and 3, 6 and 3, and 3 over 3 is 1. If you multiply them, you will get 12. So you may equalize the last sample's denominators, these examples denominators in 12, not in 24. So try to equalize denominators in addition and subtraction operations in their least common multiple. This is the best way. So let's try to make this operation again. Here by cleaning 6 and 4. Clean all of them. So 4 times which number gives me 12? 3. 6 times which number gives me 12? 2. So 3 and 2 are the numbers which gives us for these two fractions equal denominators, and their denominators are the least common multiple of 4 and 6. 3 times 1 is 3, 3 times 4 is 12, plus 2 times 1 is 2, and 2 times 6 is 12. So the result is 5 over 12. That's all. So equalize denominators of fractions in subtraction and addition operations in their least common multiple. Now let's continue with the next word problems. Now, of course, in our previous lesson, we used the greatest common factor to solve the word problems. And we faced with some problems, word problems, where we use greatest common divisor or the highest common factor of numbers. Now, what about the least common multiple of numbers? How can we understand when we use least common multiple? Now, let's see the example and try to understand. Yasmin takes her piano lesson every 4 days. Mila's lesson is every 3 days. If Yasmin and Mila have lessons today, so today they have lesson at the same time. After how many days will they both have the lessons on the same day again? Now, let's denote 4 days for Yasmin. This line segment and Mila's lesson is every 3 days, so let's denote it with this. Now I sketched 2 line segment, and this the first line segment for Yasmin, and it represents 4 days, and this is for 3 days. Now, yes, let's copy. Sorry, let yes, okay. Add here another 4 days. Add and add again another 4 days, and add again another 4 days, now add here another 4 days. And what about 3? Yes, add here another 3, another 3, and another 3, another 3, and you may add another 3, another 3, another 4 for the first one, and so on. Now let's write here 4, 4, and 4. Now and separate each 4 days representative from each other by making this 3, 3, 3, 3, and 3. Now they started at the same day, here. This is the same day and the starting day. If Yasmin and Mila have lessons today, this is today. Now, after that, as you see, we reached another day when they will take their piano lesson. And as you see, 4 plus 4 plus 4 is 12, or 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3 is 12. So it means after 12 days, they will again take their piano lesson together. And this is a kind of period. So for each 12 days, they will take the final lesson at the same day. Okay. So after how many days will they both have lessons on the same day again? The result is 12 by making this operation, by sketching these line segments. But in my hand, I have 4, 3, and 12 I reached. What is the meaning of 12? 12 is the number which is divisible with 4 and 3, and which is the smallest number having this property. It means the definition of least common multiple. So the least common multiple of 4 and 3 gives us 12. It means the answer of the question. Okay. So the answer of this question is the least common multiple of 4 and 3. If you think carefully, you will get this result. You should find a number for after how many years, the answer of the question, how many days. You should find a number which is divisible with 4 and 3 at the same time, and the smallest number having this property, 12. So finding the least common multiple of these numbers, 4 and 3, is enough to find the answer of the question. Okay. Now do we have another question? No. Now today's lesson is over. In today's lesson we learned how we may understand in order to use least common multiple when we read the word problem. If of course this word problem has this property. There are many kinds of word problems, but to separate or to understand how we may use the least common multiple, or why we use the least common multiple in a word problem. Now this type of questions we may use. Now, so in addition and subtraction operations with fractions, and if the denominators are not equal to each other in these operations, then we should equalize denominators of these fractions in their least common multiple, and we have just learned this fact also. And we may find the least common multiple of numbers more than 2 numbers. And we know the standard way, again we repeated it. And if we know the least common multiple of numbers, then we may find other common multiples of these numbers. Because all common multiples of numbers are the multiples of least common multiple of these numbers. So hope to see you soon. Hope to see you on the next lesson. Bye.